The cold seeps through the threadbare wool of my shawl, a familiar ache that settles deep in my bones. It is a companion, this cold, as constant as the hunger in my belly and the scorn in the eyes of my packmates. I am Ilara, Omega of the Silver Moon Pack, which is another way of saying I am less than nothing. A ghost who scrubs floors and mends clothes that will never be her own, living on the scraps of pity from a pack that wishes I had perished with my parents years ago. My wolf is a silent, hollow space within me, a deficiency that marks me as broken, wolfless. The word is a brand on my soul. Tonight, the air is different. It thrums with a nervous energy that has nothing to do with the encroaching winter. It is the night of the lunar convergence, the one night every decade when the twin moons kiss in the sky and fated mates are revealed. For most, it is a night of hope. For me, it is just another duty. I am expected to attend, to stand at the back with the other Omegas, a silent placeholder in a ritual that will never include me. Hope is a luxury I cannot afford. It is a warmth I have not felt in years. I smooth down my worn tunic, the fabric thin and patched. It is the best I have. As I make my way towards the clearing at the heart of our territory, the scents of the pack overwhelm me. Pine and damp earth, roasting meat and nervous excitement. It is a symphony of belonging from which I am excluded. I keep my eyes down, a habit born of 1,000 dismissive glances. My presence is an inconvenience, a stain on the pack's pride. I am a reminder of weakness, and in our world, weakness is a death sentence. The clearing is bathed in the ethereal silver light of the converging moons. Hundreds of wolves are gathered, their forms shifting restlessly. At the center, on a raised granite platform, stands Alpha Kale. He is power personified, all broad shoulders and coiled strength. His scent cuts through the others, a clean, sharp fragrance of winter frost and ancient pines. He is searching, his dark eyes scanning the crowd. He is searching for the one who will complete him, the Luna who will rule by his side. A wave of longing, so sharp and unexpected it steals my breath, washes over me. A foolish, childish wish for a life I can never have. I quickly crush it, burying it deep where it cannot hurt me. The pack seer begins the chant, her voice a reedy hum that vibrates through the soles of my feet. The magic in the air thickens, shimmering like heat haze. And then it happens. A scent, more intoxicating than anything I have ever known, floods my senses. Wild honey and summer rain, a fragrance that speaks of warmth, of home, of belonging. It is coming from him, from Alpha Kale. My head snaps up, my eyes finding his across the crowd. His gaze locks onto mine. His nostrils flare, and I see the shock that ripples through his powerful frame. The world narrows to the space between us. The sounds of the ceremony fade to a dull roar. There is only the scent, the pull, a golden cord of fate tightening, drawing my very soul towards him. Mate. The word echoes in the silent, wolfless cavern of my chest. It is not a thought, but a truth, elemental and absolute. A dizzying, terrifying hope blooms within me, so fierce and bright it hurts. For one impossible second, I see a future where I am not cold, not hungry, not alone. I see his eyes on me, and I am seen, truly seen. Alpha Kyle takes a step forward, his eyes never leaving mine. The pack murmurs, confused, following his gaze to me, the girl in the shadows. Their confusion curdles into disbelief, then into open disgust. Me? The broken Omega? His mate? The idea is an insult. The hope in my chest begins to tremble, fragile as a butterfly's wing. I can see the war in his eyes, the raw, primal instinct pulling him towards me, and the cold, hard pride pushing him away. His jaw tightens. The elders of the Pack Council are whispering to him, their faces masks of disapproval. The weight of his duty, of their expectations, settles on his shoulders. He looks at me, and the brief connection, the stunning recognition, is gone. His eyes are now chips of ice. He straightens to his full, intimidating height, his voice ringing out across the suddenly silent clearing. It is not the voice of a man who has found his other half. It is the voice of a judge passing sentence. No, he says, the single word a hammer blow to my heart. He does not speak it to me, but to the pack, to the moons, to fate itself. He turns his face away from me, addressing the stunned crowd. The moon goddesses test us. They test our strength, our resolve. He takes a deep breath, his gaze sweeping over his pack, deliberately passing over me as if I am no longer there. The golden cord between us begins to fray, turning from warmth to a searing, agonizing fire. I am the Alpha of Silvermoon. My line is strong. My Luna must be a testament to that strength. His eyes, when they finally return to me, hold no warmth, no recognition, only a cold, brutal finality. He points a condemning finger. She is not. A collective gasp ripples through the pack, but it is lost to the roaring in my ears. The pain is a physical thing, a clawed hand ripping through my chest, tearing at the new, tender bond. It is a pain beyond any hunger, any cold I have ever known. I, Alpha Kale of the Silvermoon Pack, he proclaims, his voice booming with the power of his alpha command, forcing every wolf, including me, to meet his gaze. Here, under the light of the blessed moons, I reject you, Ilara, as my mate and my Luna. The world shatters. The golden cord snaps. The searing fire turns into an unbearable, soul-shredding cold that extinguishes every last ember of hope within me. A cry is torn from my throat, a sound of pure agony that is half human, half a beast I do not possess. My knees buckle, and I fall to the unforgiving ground, the jeers and whispers of the pack a distant storm. The last thing I see before the darkness claims me is his face, impassive and remote, as he turns his back on the wreckage of my world. I am dragged from the clearing like a carcass. The rejection has left me hollowed out, a walking wound. The phantom pain of the severed bond is a constant throb behind my ribs, a cold spot that will not warm. But the Alpha is not finished with his cruelty. Humiliation was not enough. Erasure is what he requires. That night, two of his enforcers, their faces grim and pitiless, come to the small, drafty room I call home. By order of the Alpha, the larger one growls, his voice devoid of any sympathy. You are banished. You have until the moons part to be beyond Silvermoon territory. Banished. The word hangs in the air, heavier than stone. To be cast out is to be made rogue. To be rogue is to be hunted. It is a death sentence delivered with bureaucratic coldness. I have no pack, no protection, no identity. He has not just rejected me, he has stripped me of my name, my home, and my right to exist. I do not beg. The pain inside me has burned away the tears, leaving only a brittle, empty shell. I nod, my movements stiff and robotic. I gather my only possessions, the thin shawl, an extra tunic even more patched than the one I wear, and a small, carved wooden bird my mother gave me before she died. It is all I have left of a life that is already turning to ash. As I walk towards the edge of the territory, the pack members I have known my entire life turn their backs. They are faces I have served, hands I have fed, children I have watched over. Now, they look at me with contempt, or worse, with nothing at all. I am a ghost to them already. The cold of their shunning is sharper than any winter wind. At the boundary line, marked by a series of ancient carved stones, the enforcers stop. Go, the first one grunts, and do not return. If you are found on our lands again, you will be killed on sight. I step over the line. The air changes instantly. The familiar scents of my home are gone, replaced by the wild, untamed smell of the neutral forests. I am utterly, terrifyingly alone. The pain in my chest flares, a vicious, physical reminder of the mate who has cast me out to die. I look back one last time at the territory I once called home, and then I turn and walk into the darkness with no destination and no hope. The forest swallows me whole. Days bleed into a gray, meaningless smear. I walk until my feet are raw, pushing deeper into the unforgiving wilderness. Hunger is a constant, gnawing companion, and the cold is a predator that stalks my every move. The phantom ache of the broken bond never ceases. It is a hollow torment in my chest, a constant whisper of everything I have lost. Sometimes, the agony is so intense I collapse, curling into a ball on the forest floor, waiting for the pain to subside enough for me to breathe. I learn to forage for roots and bitter berries. I learn to find shelter in the lee of rock formations and hollow logs. Fear is my shadow, the snap of every twig, the howl of every distant wolf, a jolt of terror that reminds me of my precarious existence. I am prey. Every predator in this forest, be it beast or rival pack, sees me as an easy meal. One night, a storm breaks, a furious deluge of freezing rain. I huddle in a shallow cave, my body racked with shivers, my worn clothes soaked through. The cold is no longer just an ache. It is a thief, stealing the last of my strength. My teeth chatter uncontrollably. The world begins to blur at the edges, the darkness soft and inviting. This is it. This is how it ends. Alone, freezing, forgotten. A bitter laugh escapes my chapped lips. Alpha Kale has gotten his wish. The stain of his weakness will be washed from the world. Death seems like a release, a quiet end to the relentless pain. I close my eyes, ready to let go. But then, something flickers deep within the hollow space inside me. It is not a wolf's heat, but something else. A tiny, stubborn spark of defiance. A whisper. No. My mother's face flashes in my mind, her smile warm and loving. The small wooden bird is still clutched in my hand, its smooth surface a tangible link to a time before I was nothing. I will not die like this. The thought is a revelation, a call to arms. It is not the grand roar of an alpha, but the quiet, unshakable resolve of a survivor. I will not let him win. I will not let his cruelty be the final word of my story. With trembling arms, I push myself up. My muscles scream in protest, but I force myself to move, to generate friction, to fight back against the encroaching numbness. A strange, unfamiliar warmth begins to pool in my core. A faint heat that has nothing to do with my frantic movements. It is small, but it is there. It is mine. And for the first time since the rejection, it is not the cold that fills me, but a burning, incandescent rage. I will survive. I will live, if only to spite the man who left me for dead. 3 years passed in a blur of survival. The rage that saved me in the storm cooled into a core of tempered steel. I left the deep wilds behind, drifting through the neutral territories, the no man's land between the great packs. I learned the hard-won lessons of the rogue. I learned to read the subtle shifts in the wind, to identify the scent of danger long before it appeared. I learned to fight, not with the brute strength of a pack warrior, but with the desperate cunning of a survivor. A broken branch became a weapon, a narrow ravine, an escape route. My body, once thin and frail, became lean and corded with muscle. The girl who flinched at shadows was gone, buried under layers of hardship and self-reliance. Eventually, I found my way to a settlement called Brinkwater. It was a chaotic, muddy outpost on the edge of the unclaimed lands, a place for the packless, the exiled, and those running from their past. It was a town of wary eyes and guarded hearts, and I fit right in. I found work doing odd jobs, mending nets for the fishermen who worked the gray, sluggish river, and cleaning the common house for a few coins and a bowl of thin stew. It was a harsh life, but it was a life I had built with my own two hands. The phantom ache of the bond remained, a dull throb that flared on the full moons, but it no longer ruled me. It was just another scar, a reminder of a life that felt like it belonged to someone else. One evening, as a cold, persistent drizzle fell over the town, I was heading back to my small room above the stables. The last of my coins, barely enough for a loaf of bread, were clutched in my hand. As I passed the healer's tent, I heard a weak, rasping cough from within. I paused. It was old Morwenna, a woman who had arrived in Brinkwater a few months ago. She was quiet and kept to herself, her eyes holding a depth that seemed out of place in this desperate town. She was sick with the river fever, and the healer, a gruff man named Silas, was charging a small fortune for the willow bark elixir that could break it. I looked at the few coins in my palm. They represented my food for the next 2 days. My stomach rumbled in protest. I could walk away. No one would blame me. In Brinkwater, you looked out for yourself. But then I remembered the feeling of freezing to death in the forest, the utter desolation of being alone and abandoned. I remembered the kindness of my mother's smile. I couldn't leave her. With a sigh that surrendered my next meal, I pushed open the healer's flap. Silas looked up, his expression sour. "What do you want, rogue?" "The elixir," I said, my voice quiet but firm. "For Morwenna." I placed my coins on his table. It was every last one. He grunted, surprised, but swept the coins into his pouch and handed me a small, corked vial of dark liquid. I took it back to Morwenna's small, clean tent. She was lying on a cot, her face pale and beaded with sweat. Her breathing was shallow. "Morwenna," I said softly, kneeling beside her. "I brought you something." Her eyes fluttered open. They were cloudy with fever, but surprisingly sharp. I helped her sit up, and she drank the bitter elixir without complaint. I stayed with her, using a damp cloth to cool her forehead. I didn't have much, but I could offer this small comfort. I sat with her through the night, dozing in a chair as her fever raged, and finally, blessedly, broke with the dawn. When she awoke, her eyes were clear. She looked at me, a long, searching gaze that seemed to peel back all my layers, all the walls I had built around myself. "You spent your last coins on me," she said. It was not a question. I shrugged, uncomfortable under her scrutiny. "You needed it?" "Most would have bought bread," she observed, her voice stronger now. "I know what it is to be left to die," I said simply. "I wouldn't wish it on anyone." A strange light entered her eyes. You are Ilara, the one they call the Wolfless Omega, the one cast out by the Silver Moon Alpha. I stiffened, my hand instinctively going to the cold spot over my heart. How do you know that? I am a student of stories, she said cryptically. She reached out and took my hand. Her touch was surprisingly warm, and a strange energy seemed to flow from her, a calm and ancient power that soothed the ragged edges of my soul. They are wrong about you, child. You are not wolfless. I pulled my hand back, startled. Of course I am. No, she insisted, her gaze unwavering. Your wolf does not live beside you. It lives within you. It is not a separate beast you fight for control. It is the very essence of your being. You are not a common wolf shifter. You are something far older, far rarer. She paused, letting the words sink in. Your bloodline is that of the lunar scions. The words meant nothing to me. I don't understand? The scions draw their power not from a beast, but from the moons themselves. Their wolf is an extension of their will, a manifestation of pure energy. It has been dormant in you, locked away by trauma and disbelief. But it is there. I can feel it, a great, sleeping power. Her eyes shone with a sudden intensity. Your act of kindness, of selfless sacrifice when you had nothing, was the final key. It proved the strength of your heart, which is the true source of your power. Over the following weeks, Morwenna became my mentor. She was no mere traveler. She was a well of ancient knowledge, of forgotten lore. She taught me to meditate, to reach inside myself, past the pain and the emptiness, to the place where my power slept. At first, there was nothing, but slowly, guided by her patient instruction, I began to feel it. That same faint warmth I had felt in the storm, now a steady, growing glow in my core. She took me out into the wilds on a full moon night, to a hidden grove where the silver light pooled like water. Let go of who you thought you were, she commanded, her voice ringing with authority. Embrace what you are. Call the moon's light into yourself. I closed my eyes and did as she said. I reached for the energy I now recognized as my own. I pulled the moonlight down, not as a separate force, but as a part of myself I was finally reclaiming. A surge of power, breathtaking and terrifying, flooded my veins. It was not the savage fury of a shifter's change, but a seamless, silent transformation. Silver light enveloped me, flowing from my skin. My senses exploded. I could smell the sap in the trees a mile away, hear the heartbeat of a mouse in its burrow. My body felt light, powerful, humming with an energy that was both new and ancient. I opened my eyes. My hands were no longer just hands, they were tipped with claws of solidified moonlight. A low growl rumbled in my chest, a sound of pure, integrated power. I was not a woman with a wolf. I was the wolf. I was the moon. I was whole. Morwenna smiled, a look of profound satisfaction on her face. Now, she said, her tone shifting, becoming regal and commanding, your real training begins. The world will need what you are, Ilara of the Moon. It was only then, seeing the authority that settled on her as naturally as a crown, that I began to suspect she was far more than just a wise old woman. When she finally revealed that she was the Dowager Queen, the Alpha King's own mother, traveling in disguise to gauge the state of the packs, I was not as surprised as I should have been. She had the presence of one born to rule. She saw my potential, my power, but more than that, she saw my heart. And in a world that had judged me for my status, she valued me for my character. I was no longer an Omega, no longer a rogue. I was her student, her protege. And for the first time in my life, I felt a sense of purpose. I had power, not to rule or to conquer, but to protect. My wolf is a restless storm. He paces the confines of my mind, a constant, snarling reminder of my failure. It has been 3 years since I cast her out, and not a single night has passed that I have not been tormented by that decision. In my dreams, I see her eyes, wide with shock and a pain so profound it should have shattered me. I see her fall, and I see myself turn my back. My wolf howls in my head, a litany of accusation. Rejected mate, weak alpha. You broke us. I try to silence him, to force him into submission with my alpha will. But he is a part of me. His agony is my own. The bond, though I publicly severed it, refuses to die. It is a festering wound in my soul. I feel it as a constant dull ache, a coldness that no fire can warm. I am surrounded by my pack, by loyal warriors and fawning females, yet I have never felt more alone. My council of elders, the same ones who praised my strength and resolve for rejecting the wolfless Omega, now look at me with concern. My focus is fractured. My temper is short. I have not taken another mate. The goddesses know I have tried. I have sought out the highest born, most powerful she-wolves from allied packs. But when they offer themselves, their scents are like ash and dust in my nostrils. Their touch is repulsive. My wolf recoils, snarling not mate. My body, my very instinct refuses to betray the one I threw away. I am the powerful alpha of the Silver Moon Pack, but I am crumbling from the inside. I pushed her away out of pride, out of fear. My father taught me that an alpha must be a symbol of unattainable strength, that his Luna must be a reflection of that perfection. A wolfless Omega was a flaw, a stain on my legacy. I chose my title over my soul, and now I am paying the price. The irony is bitter. In my attempt to project strength, I committed the weakest act of my life. Sometimes, when the ache in my chest sharpens, I wonder if she is still alive. The neutral territories are no place for a lone wolf, let alone a gentle Omega. Guilt, a venomous serpent, coils in my gut. I tell myself it was necessary. I tell myself I did it for the good of the pack. But the lies are thin and worn, and my wolf sees right through them. He shows me images of her, cold and starving, and his rage becomes my own self-loathing. I, Kale, am a monster who sent his own mate to her death. While I was learning to wield the moon's power under Morwenna's tutelage, life in Brinkwater continued. My past remained my own, a story I shared with no one but the Dowager Queen. To the rest of the town, I was just Ilara, the quiet woman who worked hard and kept to herself. But someone saw more. His name was Reese. He was the town's blacksmith, a man with broad shoulders from his trade and a smile as warm as his forge. He was packless, like me, having left his birth pack after a dispute over leadership. He was a beta, solid and dependable, with a quiet strength that was the antithesis of Kale's explosive alpha power. He never asked about my past. He simply accepted me as I was. He started leaving small things for me. A freshly baked roll on the anvil when he knew I was short on coin. A new, sturdier leather strap for my foraging bag. He would find me by the river in the evenings, and we would talk, sharing stories of our day. His presence was a balm. With him, there was no judgment, no expectation. He treated me with a gentle respect that I had never known. One evening, a group of belligerent rogues, drunk on cheap ale, cornered me in the alley behind the common house. They sneered at me, their eyes filled with a predatory light. Before I could even call upon the power that now hummed beneath my skin, Reese was there. He didn't roar or posture like an alpha. He simply stepped between me and them, his large frame a solid wall. "Leave her be," he said, his voice a low, steady rumble. "Or what, Smith?" the leader sneered. "She's got no pack. She's fair game." "She's with me," Reese said simply. The words were not a claim of ownership, but a statement of protection. A promise. The rogues, seeing the unyielding resolve in his eyes and knowing the strength in his arms, grumbled and backed away. After they were gone, he turned to me, his brow furrowed with concern. "Are you all right?" "I'm fine," I said, my voice a little shaky. "Thank you, Reese." "You don't have to be alone, Ilara," he said softly, his kind eyes searching mine. "Let me stand with you." He represented a life I could have, a quiet, peaceful life built on mutual respect and gentle affection. A life free from the violent passions and devastating pain of a fated mate bond. He was safe. He was good. And a part of me, the part that was so tired of fighting, yearned for the simple peace he offered. A fragile fondness for him grew in my heart, a pale but gentle flower in the barren landscape of my emotions. It was Morwenna who brought the storm to our quiet existence. One night, as we sat in her tent, her face was grim, her regal bearing more pronounced than ever. "The whispers have become a roar," she said, her voice low and urgent. "The shadow weavers are on the move." She explained what they were. Ancient, parasitic creatures made of solidified darkness and malice. They had been thought extinct for centuries, but they were reawakening. They fed on the life force of wolf shifters, leaving behind nothing but desiccated husks, and they were drawn to places of great power. "They moved towards the northern ranges," she said, and my blood ran cold, directly towards the Silver Moon Pack. "Let them," I said, the words coming out colder than I intended. "It has nothing to do with me." Morwenna's eyes were filled with a sad wisdom. "Has it not? There are innocents there, Ilara. Pups, families, people who had no part in your banishment. Will you let them perish because of the sins of their alpha?" She paused, her gaze pinning me. "And there is more. The weavers are drawn to concentrated power, to alpha lines, and to lunar science. They will sense you. But more than that, they sense the fractured bond between you and Alpha Kale. It is a wound in the fabric of our world, and they are drawn to such weakness like flies to a corpse." She let that sink in before delivering the final blow. "Kyle cannot face them alone. An alpha with a broken bond is an alpha fighting a war on two fronts. His inner turmoil weakens him, and it weakens his pack. They will be slaughtered." I stared at her, my mind reeling. Return to Silvermoon? To the place of my deepest humiliation? To face the man who had shattered my soul? The very thought was nauseating. "I cannot," I whispered. "You must," she countered, her voice softening. "Not for him. For them. For the world. A lunar scion and an alpha, their bond fully realized, is a power the weavers have not faced in 1,000 years. It may be the only thing that can stop them." She saw the conflict in my eyes, the war between my pain and my conscience. "This is not about the past, Ilara. This is about the future. Your power was unlocked for a reason. This is it." Her words echoed in my heart. My power was for protecting. Could I stand by and do nothing while hundreds died, simply to nurse my own wounded pride? The answer was no. The girl who spent her last coins on medicine for a stranger could not turn her back on the world. With a heavy heart, I nodded. I will go. The journey back to Silvermoon territory was a trial of my resolve. Every step closer brought the memories rushing back, sharp and painful. Morwenna, no longer hiding her identity, traveled with the authority of the Dowager Queen she was. We were not beggars at the gate. We were emissaries. When we reached the border, the scent of the packlands hit me. Pine and frost, home and heartbreak. Two guards, young warriors who wouldn't have known me, moved to block our path. Halt! State your business. Before I could speak, Morwenna stepped forward, pulling back the hood of her cloak. I believe my son will want to see me, she said, her voice calm and laced with indisputable power. The guards paled, their eyes widening in shock as they recognized the formidable mother of the Alpha King. They dropped into immediate, respectful bows. Dowager Queen, one stammered. Forgive us. We were not expecting. Announce our arrival, she commanded crisply, and tell your Alpha we bring urgent news of a threat to his lands. As we were escorted into the heart of the territory, I felt hundreds of eyes on me. Whispers followed in our wake. They did not recognize me at first. They saw a tall, confident woman with an air of power walking beside the Queen Mother herself. But then, a few of the older wolves, those who had been there that night, would catch my scent. Wild honey and rain, now underscored by the sharp, clean ozone of moonlight. Their eyes would widen in stunned disbelief. The Omega? It cannot be. We were led to the great hall, and there, standing before the Alpha's throne, was Kyle. The years had changed him. He was still powerful, but there was a harshness to his face that hadn't been there before. Dark circles under his eyes that spoke of sleepless nights. His scent was the same, winter frost and pine, but it was tainted with something else. A bitterness, a deep, abiding loneliness. Then he saw me. His entire body went rigid, his nostrils flared, and I saw the shock, the utter disbelief crash over him. The dull ache in my chest, the scar I had learned to live with, exploded into a supernova of sensation. It was 1,000 times more intense than our first recognition. The bond, dormant and damaged, roared back to life, a raw, screaming thing, demanding completion. It was agony and ecstasy, a torrent of feeling that threatened to sweep me away. I planted my feet, summoning every bit of the control Morwenna had taught me, and held my ground, my face a mask of cold neutrality. I watched my mother enter the great hall, a woman I haven't seen in 5 years, and my mind struggles to process the shock. But the second woman who steps out from behind her eclipses everything. The scent hits me first, a fragrance I have smelled every night in my tortured dreams. Wild honey and rain. My wolf rears up, howling with a joy so fierce it's painful. Mate! But the scent is different now. It is deeper, richer, laced with the impossible aroma of ozone and pure moonlight. My eyes lock on her, and the world stops. This is not the timid, broken girl I cast out. This is a queen. She stands tall and straight, her eyes clear and steady. The fear I remembered is gone, replaced by a calm, unshakable confidence that seems to radiate from her. She is beautiful, so achingly beautiful it steals the air from my lungs. And she is powerful. I can feel it, a thrumming energy that pushes back against my own alpha aura, meeting it as an equal. The dormant bond between us ignites. It is not a gentle rekindling, but a violent explosion. It is raw, primal need, a physical force that makes me want to cross the hall, fall to my knees, and beg for the forgiveness I know I do not deserve. The pain of the last 3 years, the loneliness, the self-loathing, it all crystallizes into one devastating realization. I threw away the sun and have been freezing in the darkness ever since. She looks at me, and her eyes are cold. There is no flicker of the hope I saw that first night. There is no pain. There is nothing. It is the calm, dispassionate gaze of a stranger, and it is more terrifying than any hatred. She has moved on. She has healed, and she no longer needs me. The thought is a blade twisting in my gut. "Kyle," my mother says, her voice sharp, pulling me from my stupor. "We need to talk. We are all in grave danger." The meetings are a special kind of torture. We gather in the War Council room, maps spread across the great oak table. Morwenna details the threat of the Shadow Weavers, her words painting a grim picture of the coming war. Ilara stands beside her, her presence a silent testament to the gravity of the situation. She speaks with a quiet authority that commands the respect of my most seasoned warriors. She points to weaknesses in our defenses, suggests strategies with a keen, tactical mind. She is brilliant. I try to use my alpha command, a subtle push to force the council to my will on a minor point of contention. It is a habit, an unconscious exertion of my authority. It washes over the room, and everyone bows their head in submission, except her. She meets my gaze, and it is like my power hits a wall of solid crystal and shatters. She doesn't even flinch. She simply raises a delicate eyebrow, a silent challenge. The message is clear. Your power means nothing to me. The humiliation burns, but it is overshadowed by a surge of awe. What has she become? Worse still is seeing her with him, a blacksmith from that rogue town, Reese. He came with them, his purpose to help fortify our armory. He is a good man, steady and strong, and he looks at her with an open, honest adoration that makes my blood boil. I see them talking, their heads close together. I see him hand her a cup of water, his fingers brushing hers, and the easy, comfortable smile she gives him is a dagger to my heart. She never smiled at me like that. I never gave her the chance. My wolf paces, a caged, furious beast. Ours. That should be us. Fix it. Claim. Mine. But I have no right. I forfeited that right 3 years ago on a granite slab under the full moon. The uneasy alliance holds for a week. We work side by side, the air between us thick with unspoken words and the screaming of our broken bond. I watch her train my warriors, her movements fluid and deadly, her hands weaving claws of pure silver light. She is magnificent, and she is a universe away. The proximity is killing me. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I can only think of her, of what I lost, of the chasm I created between us. I finally break. I cannot live like this, in this limbo of regret, with her so close, yet so far. I need her to know, not to win her back, for I know that is impossible, but to unburden my own blackened soul. I find her in the evening, standing on the high cliff overlooking the valley. It is the very same spot where the rejection ceremony took place. The irony is of physical pain. She hears me approach and turns, her posture wary. The setting sun catches in her hair, creating a halo of fire. "Alpha," she says, her voice cool and formal. "Ilara," I begin, my voice rough. I have rehearsed this moment 1,000 times in my mind, but the words still feel like stones in my throat. I stop a respectful distance from her. This is her space. I am the intruder. I have to do this right. My wolf is screaming at me, but for once, his primal instincts are aligned with my desperate heart. Grovel. Show her. Make her see. I take a breath, forcing the truth from my lungs. I did not come here to ask for anything. I have no right. I came to tell you the truth and to apologize. Her expression does not change, but I see a flicker of something in her eyes. Surprise. There is no excuse for what I did, I say, the words raw and honest. No justification. It was the act of a coward and a fool. But I want you to know why. Not for my sake, for yours. You deserve to know the truth of the man who hurt you. I look out at the valley, unable to meet her gaze. I was arrogant. I was raised to believe that strength was everything, that my position demanded a certain kind of perfection. When the bond chose you, an Omega, one they called Wolfless, I was afraid. I was terrified that my pack would see me as weak, that my father's legacy would be tarnished. I listened to the whispers of the elders, to the voice of my own pride. I chose my title over my mate. I chose power over my own soul. It was the single greatest mistake of my life. I finally forced myself to look at her. Her face is still a mask, but a single tear traces a path down her cheek. It is the first crack in her perfect composure. I have lived in a cold hell of my own making for 3 years, Ilara. Every night, I see your face. Every day, I feel the hole where you should be. I know my suffering is nothing compared to what I put you through. It is my just punishment. I deserve it. My voice breaks, the alpha of Silvermoon, brought low by his own regret. I take the final step. I move before her and I drop to my knees in the dirt. My warriors, my pack, could be watching. I don't care. There's only her. I lower my head and bare my throat, the ultimate act of submission. My life is forfeit to you, I say, my voice thick with unshed tears. It has been yours since the moment I first saw you. If you wish to take it, I will welcome the end of this pain. If you wish for me to leave and never see you again, I will obey. If you choose him, the name Reese is acid on my tongue, but I force it out. I will wish you a happiness I do not deserve. Your freedom is the only thing that matters. I ask for nothing. I expect nothing. I just needed you to know that the man who rejected you is dead. I killed him with my regret. I don't know who this new man is, but he would burn the world to see you safe and happy. I wait, my neck bared, for her judgment, for the sentence I so richly deserve. The silence stretches, filled only by the whisper of the wind and the frantic, hopeful beating of my own broken heart. Reese finds me later that night by the river, skipping stones across its dark surface. The water is a mirror for the turmoil inside me. Kale's words, his submission, have shaken me to my core. I saw the alpha, Reese says quietly, coming to stand beside me. He does not sound angry or jealous, only sad. He was on his knees. I don't reply, just watch another stone bounce and sink. I am a simple man, Ilara, he continues, his voice gentle. I know how to forge steel, how to build things that last, but I don't know how to fight against fate. I see the way you look at him, even when you are trying not to. And I see the way he looks at you. It is like watching two halves of a soul trying to tear their way back to each other. He hurt me, I whisper, the words tasting of old pain. I know, and what he did is unforgivable, Reese agrees. But the bond, it doesn't care about forgiveness. It only cares about completion. He turns to face me, his honest eyes filled with a deep, sorrowful affection. I care for you more than I can say. And because I do, I cannot stand by and be the obstacle to your happiness or to your destiny. You deserve to be first in someone's life, Ilara, not a safe choice they run to. And Reese sighs, as much as I hate to admit it, you are the only choice for him. I won't compete with a ghost, and I won't compete with a God-given bond. He reaches out and gently touches my cheek. Whatever you choose, I hope you find peace. With that, he turns and walks back towards the settlement, leaving me alone with my choice, his quiet dignity, a final, painful gift. He has shown me what true, selfless care looks like, and in doing so, has given me the freedom to face the much more complicated, painful, and powerful love that fate has demanded of me. The attack comes at dawn. A piercing shriek tears through the morning mist, a sound that scrapes at the soul. The Shadow Weavers are here. They pour out of the forest, not as a disorganized mob, but as a disciplined army of darkness. They are vaguely wolf-like in shape, but made of roiling shadow, their eyes glowing with a malevolent red light. Where they pass, the grass blackens and dies. The pack's warriors meet them with howls of fury, but the battle is immediately brutal. The weavers are terrifyingly strong. Their claws, made of solidified despair, pass through armor and flesh, not just wounding the body, but draining the spirit. Warriors fall, their fur turning gray, their eyes going dull and lifeless. I fight alongside Kale, a whirlwind of silver light and alpha fury. For the first time, we move as one. His strength is a bulwark, a physical wall against the tide of darkness. My power is a lance of moonlight, searing through the shadows, the only thing that seems to truly harm them. Our bond, though still incomplete, sings between us, a current of shared battle sense. I know where he will strike before he moves. He anticipates my energy blasts and covers my flank. We are devastating together. But there are too many. For every one we strike down, two more seem to rise from the shadows. At the heart of their army is a larger, more terrifying creature, the Weaver Lord. It is massive, a monstrosity of shifting darkness, and its red eyes are fixed on me. It senses my lunar power. It craves it. It lets out another soul-rending shriek and lunges. Not at Kale, not at the warriors, but directly at me. It moves with an unnatural speed, a blur of malice. There is no time to react, no time to summon a shield of light. I brace for the impact, for the feeling of my life force being devoured. But the impact never comes. At the last possible second, Kale throws himself in front of me. He roars, a sound of pure, defiant protection, as the Weaver Lord's claws, meant for my heart, plunge deep into his chest. Time slows. The Weaver Lord shrieks, not in triumph, but in pain, as Kale's raw alpha life force, pure and potent, proves to be a poison to it. It recoils, its shadowy form flickering, but the damage is done. Kale stumbles back, his eyes wide with shock. A dark, viscous blood, the life of an alpha, pours from the grievous wound. He looks at me, a faint, pained smile on his lips. "Safe," he gasps, before his eyes roll back and he collapses to the ground. "No." The cry is ripped from my soul. The sight of him falling, of his blood staining the earth for me, shatters the last of my defenses. The careful walls I built, the pride, the pain, the anger, it all crumbles to dust. In that moment, there is no past, no rejection, only the stark, unbearable truth. My mate is dying. My wolf, my lichen soul, the integrated core of my being, screams a single, undeniable command: mate, protect, heal, Mine. All the logic, all the hurt, is burned away by that primal, absolute imperative. Forgiveness is no longer a question. It is an instinct. This is my choice. Not made in weakness or desperation, but in the face of absolute loss. I choose him. I choose us. I rush to his side, dropping to my knees in the blood-soaked mud. The battle rages around us, but it is a distant, meaningless noise. My world has narrowed to his pale face, his shallow breathing. The Weaver Lord is regrouping, preparing to strike again, but I do not care. Nothing matters but Kale. Don't you dare, I whisper, my voice thick with tears as I place my hands over the horrific wound in his chest. Don't you dare leave me. His life force is draining away, a torrent of power bleeding into the earth. I can feel the cold of death creeping into him, but I can also feel the bond, a desperate, tenacious thread still connecting us. I grab onto it with all of my will. I will not let it break again. I, Ilara of the Moon, I say, my voice ringing with a power I have never used before, a declaration made to the world, to the goddesses, to fate itself. I accept you, Kale of the Silver Moon. I accept you as my mate, my alpha, my other half. I lean down and press my lips to his. As I do, I pour everything I am into him, all my power, all my light, all my forgiveness. I push my lunar energy down the conduit of the bond, a river of pure life flowing from my soul into his. The bond, fractured for so long, snaps into place. It is not the jarring pain of the rejection, nor the chaotic roar of our reunion. It is a feeling of profound, absolute completion. It is the universe, sighing in relief. A wave of power, golden and silver, light and shadow, alpha and luna, explodes from our joined bodies. It is a perfect, harmonious fusion of our two souls, made stronger by the breaking. Kale's eyes snap open. They are no longer just his own dark gaze, but they glow with an inner silver light, a reflection of my own power, now living within him. The wound on his chest knits itself together, leaving behind only a faint, silvery scar. He gasps, not in pain, but in wonder, as our combined strength floods his veins. The Weaver Lord, drawn by the incredible surge of power, lunges for us again. But this time, we are ready. Kel rises with me, our hands still linked. He is no longer just an alpha, and I am no longer just a lunar scion. We are one entity, a force of nature. His raw physical power is now tempered and sharpened by my lunar magic. My ethereal energy is now grounded and amplified by his alpha strength. He looks at me, his eyes full of a love and reverence that eclipses all the pain of the past. I look back, my heart full not just of forgiveness, but of a fierce, possessive love I no longer have to deny. We don't need to speak. We know what to do. Together, we turn to face the Weaver Lord. Kale roars, and the sound is not just his own. It is layered with the chime of moonlight, a shockwave of sound and power that stuns the entire Shadow Army. I raise my free hand, and it is not just silver light that gathers there, but a swirling vortex of golden alpha energy and silver lunar fire. The Weaver Lord hesitates, its malevolent intelligence finally understanding fear. It is facing a power it cannot comprehend, a perfect union it thought it had prevented. It turns to flee, but it is too late. For our pack, Kale growls, his voice a duet with my own. For our future, I add. We unleash our combined power, a beam of pure, incandescent energy, woven from strength and light, from dominance and grace, lances across the battlefield. It strikes the Weaver Lord dead center. There is no scream, There is only a silent, brilliant implosion of light that consumes the darkness. The Weaver Lord, and every lesser shadow creature connected to it, dissolves into nothingness, cleansed from the world. As the light fades, the morning sun breaks through the clouds, bathing the valley in a clean, new light. The battle is over. In the aftermath, the pack looks at us with awe. They see their alpha, healed and whole, his hand linked with the woman he once cast out. They see the silver light that now glows faintly around them both. They see their Luna. Kyle, in front of everyone, drops to one knee, not in submission this time, but in reverence. He takes my hand and kisses it. "My Luna," he says, his voice thick with emotion for all to hear. "My salvation." I pull him to his feet, our new dynamic clear to everyone. We are not a ruler and his consort. We are partners, equals. 3 months later, we stand on the same cliff. The air is crisp with the promise of autumn. The scar on Kyle's chest is a faint, silvery trace against his skin. He often touches it, a silent reminder of his sacrifice. I find my own hand resting over my heart, over the place where the rejection first burned like ice. The phantom pain is gone, replaced by a steady, gentle warmth that is the hum of our completed bond. The scars are not gone, but they no longer hurt. They are a map of our journey, a testament to the fact that we earned this. Kyle turns to me, his eyes, still holding that beautiful silver glow, filled with a love that is both humbling and fierce. "I don't know how to thank you," he says, his voice quiet, "for saving me, for forgiving me." "You saved me first," I reply, tracing the line of his jaw. "And I didn't forgive the man who rejected me, Kyle. I fell in love with the man who knelt in the dirt for me, the man who was willing to die for me." He pulls me into his arms, burying his face in my hair. His scent of pine and frost is now permanently mingled with my own of honey and rain. It is the scent of home. "I will spend the rest of my life proving I am worthy of you." He murmurs against my skin. "We will spend the rest of our lives proving we are worthy of this." I correct him gently, pulling back to look him in the eye. "Together." He smiles, a true, genuine smile that finally reaches his eyes, erasing the last of the shadows. He leans in and kisses me, a kiss that holds no desperation or regret, only the deep, abiding promise of a shared future. We are not the innocent, fated couple from the ceremony. We are something more. We are scarred, we are tested, and we are whole. Our love story was not written in the stars as a simple path, but forged in the fires of pain and redemption. And as the sun sets over our peaceful valley, I know, with every fiber of my being, that it is a love that will last forever.